They fed me. They took me to places I would never dream of going. Maybe never want to ever go back to again, but it was not bad. And I went in about this time of the year, 1966, right at the end of December, and I spent January up at Cape May, New Jersey, doing the U.S. Coast Guard boot camp. And then they sent me to Yorktown, Virginia, to the U.S. Coast Guard sonar school, where I didn't know it, but my hearing would never be as good again as it was when I went off to sonar school. Because every day we were 8 hours underneath these headphones listening to the sounds of everything underwater. And this was before computers took over the world. And so a lot of it got done by people, doing people type things. And so sonar, if you're not familiar with it, sonar is like a beam that you send out, a beam of sound, and it strikes an object and you count how long it takes for that sound to get back to you. And then you know how far away the object is. But what you didn't know back in those days was what the object was. So, it's great to know that something was 400 yards off the starboard bow, but what was it? Was it a whale? Was it a school of shrimp? Was it a Russian submarine ready to launch torpedoes at you? And so we had to go and study the sounds of everything. We learned what a sandy bottom sounded like, and what a rocky bottom sounded like. We knew how to differentiate the sound of a school of shrimp from a school of croakers, and just it was all these different kinds of sounds and stuff, and your head got full of all this stuff. And also we got to learn Morse code at the same time. And so after a weekend like this, I'd be driving madly through the Hampton Tunnel, going dit dit dot dot dit, trying to memorize all this stuff. It was fun. And so then eventually we finished boot camp, we finished sonar school, and then they sent us off to these ships. And I got to go up to New Jersey and catch a plane for Argentia, Newfoundland, and they put me on this ship only about an hour before it actually sailed off out of Argentia, Newfoundland. So I didn't get to know what the social life in Argentia was too much. In the fog, the plane landed in the fog. I never saw Argentia at all. And then a bus picked us up right at the plane and drove us in the fog to the dock. And I got off the bus in the fog and walked across the gangway and stowed my sea bag on the boat, and the boat pulled in the gangway immediately, and off we sailed in the fog out onto what was called an ocean station, where we floated for a month in the middle of the ocean. And we were there to help planes that were going across, give them radar fixes, all kinds of good deeds. We had 4 civilian weathermen who are all jolly fellows who came on board in the month of December with Hawaiian shirts on and cases of champagne along with their boxes of weather balloons, and they were partying the whole time. This was before they had the Weather Channel to keep them busy. And some of those guys actually turned up years later on the Weather Channel, some of the old hurricane guys, This was pre-Cantori days, but it was exciting nonetheless to see some of these old faces. And so out there we sat for 30 days at a shot, on watch for 4 hours, off watch for 8 hours. And this is what happened out there one day on Ocean Station Bravo. And let's see, I'm going to use another prop on this and avoid the... Oh, and definitely a useful prop here would be my glasses. Because these harmonicas, some of the more recently made ones are nice about telling you what key they're in, but some are not. And it's like putting the wrong cassette in, So I should tell you, as I'm groping for the harmonica holder, that part of the gear that you had on board these ships, we were in Combat Information Center, which was called CIC, and part of what you had as part of your equipment was this thing called the Gertrude. Now, the Gertrude was an underwater PA system, and knowing we musicians who are into things musical and microphones and testing 1, 2, 3 and all that good stuff, it was something that we had to explore on our own, and we found out that Gertrude was a microphone and speaker underneath the ship, and then a microphone and speaker up in CIC, and that if you were sailing next to another ship and you were supposed to maintain radio silence because you were in wartime conditions, you could use water as the sound carrier and pass messages back and forth from one ship to the other. Well, we thought this was cool and groovy, and it was the 60s, and so there we were in the middle of the ocean, and so on every watch we had to turn on Gertrude. Yes, we did, and we hope she appreciated it. But when you turned it on, you could listen to all the sounds underneath the ship, and you could hear the cavitation of the water from the propellers and just all these interesting sounds. So it was through the miracle of Gertrude that this song came to be, and this is what happened on Ocean Station Bravo one evening on watch. Station Bravo, North Atlantic Ocean, somewhere south of Greenland, somewhere far from home. Nothing on the radar, nothing on the sonar, hove to and drifting on this ocean all alone. In the CGC Sebago, a high-endurance cutter, Ocean Station vessel, number 42. Studying weather, aids to navigation, plotting ships and aircraft as they come sailing through. In the middle of the circle, in the center of the ocean, there's nothing but horizon and wind, sea, and sky. The whole world in motion, blowing from the northeast, not a hint of sunshine, just the gray clouds running by. Objects in the water, moving surface contacts off our starboard bow. Plot 'em on radar, fire up the sonar, listen for their echoes, well, can you hear 'em now? Well, there's echoes in my headphones, whale sounds on the speakers, filling all the spaces inside CIC. Songs of love and travel, songs of generations, echoes of the ages in cetacean harmony. And me, I had to answer. I sang, I talked, I whistled, and I even played the mouth harp through the microphone, and they returned the favor with chirps and clicks and whistles. A song of celebration, not so different from our own. When the watch was over, it's out onto the bridge wing, those sounding singers as they breach, sport and play. Just a pod of humpbacks, farewell flukes awakening, memory worth saving as we traveled on our way. But we had a conversation with Leviathan that day. Station Bravo, North Atlantic Ocean, somewhere south of Greenland, somewhere far from home.